Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Sandra from Stampin Studio. I'm in Norfolk in the UK, and today our Global Inspiration Stamp Team presentations are going to be featuring different techniques. Now, I love techniques, and today I'm going to be sharing with you one of my long-term favourites. I hope you enjoy. Let me get you down onto the table and see what's happening. My technique today is going to be the faux silk technique. Now, some of you may have heard of this or may have seen me present this on my own page, but I hope you're going to enjoy it today. My card today is going to be featuring the Layers of Beauty stamp set, dies, and the mask, decorative masks. I'm so pleased to be able to confirm to you that this bundle is all going to be carried over into the new catalogue. So it'll be with us for another 12 months. Here is a card that I've done recently using the masks and using 3 different colour shades of pink and 2 different shades of green. Now I'm going to be replicating this using the faux silk technique and give it a different texture. Now let me pop that to one side. Many of you know that I keep hold of all my scraps and I store them in little boxes like this. These are A5 size. This is tissue paper for different techniques. One of the best sources for me of my tissue paper is our cutting plates for the cut and emboss, stamp and cut and emboss machines. These are the full size ones, and these longer strips are from the mini plates. So when the plates come together, they sandwich a piece of tissue paper in between them. This is really useful, so do keep those. And if you come across any smaller pieces, they don't have to be pristine flat like this, but it helps. Okay, so I'll pop that out of the way. I need to work with a piece of paper underneath. This is just a piece of white photocopy paper, and I'm putting my tissue paper on the top. The reason being that some of the inks can bleed through. So I've placed this on here. We will be using these masks here. Now the masks, when you see the masks, they are all numbered very faintly in the corner here. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I've left them in that order, and I haven't cleaned them today because I've made another sample up for you and I'm just reusing those inks. So we will start with mask number 1. I'm placing this in the center of my piece of paper. I'm going to take a couple of pieces of Scotch tape and just place this along those edges there. One there and then one along the bottom. Not right over the join because I need to mark this. Okay, so I'm going to go along this little notch at the top here. So you'll see me just marking out where that notch is. And then I'm going to add another little piece just on this bottom corner. So apologies, the overhead lights are just reflecting badly on that. So I've just moved it over slightly to be able to take that glare away. For my first colour today, I've used a variety of shades here, but I keep changing my mind, and I think these are going to be my 3 shades today. So I have Bubble Bath, I have Moody Mauve, and I have the third one will be Petunia Pop. Okay, we kind of want to have those just out of sight, just there, to take that glare away. Okay, so I'm going to start with Bubble Bath. I love to use my Stampin' Blends. They are available in 2 different sizes. These are the standard ones, and they come in a pack of 3 and then 3 small ones in the other pack. So I'm just going to tap this on here. I like to get rid of, if there's the darker colours tend to leave a big mark, but this one is fine. I've taped it down so it's not going to move, and I'm just going to gradually build up these layers going clockwise and anti-clockwise. You'll see these ones are now starting to come through. So all of those masked areas. Okay, this is a pale colour, so we can build this up as we go along. And we are going clockwise and anti-clockwise. Now that's finished with that colour. So I'm going to gently lift this off the tape and keep that to one side to reuse. So this is my first image. Now I go for my second image. Now I'm going to line up the plate number 2 at the top here where the little notch is, and also in this bottom corner that we mark. So I'm lining it up in 2 points so it can't really get twisted or out of line. So just pop a piece of Scotch tape there and at the bottom. Okay, and then we're ready to go with the second colour, and I'm using Moody Mauve.
We do makes the difference in me and you. 30 years of inspiration and love.
This brush I keep for my paler colours, so I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to bring on the darker one. And you can try it out on this piece of scrap paper here just before you go in with the colour. And see which the shade's going to be very dark, so I'm taking that excess off. This has been anchored down with my tape, so I'm now going to go in with the next layer.
Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together.
Remember, as you build your layers, to go clockwise and anti-clockwise. These blending brushes have got thousands of little tiny brushes in there, bristles, and they will get into every nook and cranny, filling all of that space. If you to use a sponge dauber, then it wouldn't get accurately to the whole of the image. I'm just peeling that one off there. Keep that tape for the next round, and take mask number 3. Okay, so I'm lining it up again over the top. Secure that down again. Put this one away, and then I'll go with the next colour. So my third colour today is Petunia Pop.
Oh, how we live and what we say. It's Stampin' Up and it's our way to love, live and share it today. To love, live and share it today. Just look around and you can see it's so much more than stamps and ink. It's more than just a card you see. It's part of you, a part of me.
I have gone off the edge here slightly. We are going to trim this piece down at the end, so make sure your tissue paper is always larger than your finished project wants to be. So this is now on mask number 4, lining it up exactly the same as before. One piece on the bottom and one piece on the top, and then change this over. I'm going to turn that out inside out actually. There we go, and go to a green now. So again, I have 2 different shades of green. I'm using Old Olive first, and this is my smaller brush, so this is the size comparison with our blending brushes. So I'm going to go in with the lighter colour, and this is all anchored down, so I'm just going to clockwise and anti-clockwise.
What we love, what we do, makes the difference in me and you. 30 years of inspiration and love.
Okay, that's Old Olive finished. Next is Mossy Meadow, and over to the larger brush. Let's peel this one off. And the last one here is mask number 5.
We've grown strong together, you know it's all because everybody plays a part in doing what we love.
Okay, now here is our piece of tissue paper with our design on here. Now there is a little bit of ink bleeding on here. I'm not overly concerned about that. We are going to trim this all down. Now on this one here, this was done exactly the same way, straight onto a piece of card, and I stamped the outline image. There is a black line on here. Okay, so you can see that as an outline, and then the masks have gone over the top. With this one, we're using just the masks on their own. It gives a completely different look. Okay, so now we need to set that one aside. We really need that to dry before we do the next step. We're going to take a piece of white card. Now for this, because it's the full size for the card, I've done a 1/4 sheet of the standard card size. So it's 1/4 of a sheet of A4 basic white. Okay, now my image is going to sit on here nicely. Okay, you can see that the edge pieces here will be trimmed down later. Okay, we need that ink to be dry. If we screw this, we're going to screw this up and make our wrinkles in there to make it faux silk. If we screw this up too soon and the ink is still wet, it will go onto other areas of our image. So we do want that one to be dry. So I'm going to walk you through the rest of my card first, leave those to dry a little bit longer. So here I have my base card. Now I've done this one in Old Olive. So I then have a matte layer of one of the colours I've used, which was Petunia Pop. So I'm going to attach this one down using the Tombow. So this is going to go on top here, but I also have a liner to go inside. Now I've pre-stamped this. Remember the image from the stamp set here. This is the big image, and I've inked it up, and I've just done a partial stamp on the corner there because I thought that might look nice. You can leave it black and white, or you can go over the colours. This one didn't stamp fully, so we always have that emergency side, don't we? So I've used that emergency side and turned it over, and that's just going to go inside there. Okay, so that's ready to go. This will be where we put our finished piece on the front there. Now for this little banner here, I have a new to me set. This is an online exclusive, and I thought you might like to see this. This is Textured Notes dies. Now this is a beautiful set, and I love these dies. If I bring this up to the camera, take the plastic away, you will see that all of these outside edges have all got beautiful decorative patterns. I've used the smallest one because it fits the greeting that I've got today. So I'm just going to stamp this up with Memento ink here. You could pick out one of the colours in here if you wanted. So I love my Memento. Get a good covering of that black ink on there. If you want to try it, you can stamp onto your grid sheet and just check that's coming as a nice solid image. And I'm just going to stamp this on the side here. And there we go. I'm going to set that aside because we're going to need that in a little while. Put the lid on there, put the sentiment out of the way. I think by now we'll be able to work on this one again. So what I'm going to do is use this. This is the right side. Now if we turn that over, you might lose track and can't see that that is a little bit muted, but I want, where we put the little notches, I want to remember that this is the good side. So I'm going to write good at the top there so that you know that the word is the right way up, and you can see that. That's going to be trimmed away in a little while. So whilst we have this image here, we know which side is upright, the neat, the good side. I'm just going to screw this up. Now you're taking that ink into the inside. The tighter you screw this up into the little ball, the more lines you get, the more creases. So that is your faux silk technique. Most people see me do this and they're horrified to think we've made that lovely piece of artwork and we've now screwed it up. Believe me, this is part of the technique. Now when you undo this, tissue paper is very fragile, so please take care opening these up and just gradually tease that out. Do not smooth those wrinkles out. You are purely just teasing that, like so. And we want to capture all of those little creases in there. Okay, don't worry about that ink on the side there because that will be gone when we trim it down. Now I put good on here, didn't I? So the good is there, so I know this is the right way up. So for this part of the technique, I'm using the wide end, the spreader on the end of this end of the Tombow. I very rarely use this. I always use the nib, but this end is perfect for what we're going to do. We're going to spread and cover the entire piece of cardstock in two directions. We're going to go this way across, and then we're going to go this way as well. It might be easier to turn it as we do. I'm going to fast forward this, but I want you to see what I'm doing. So I'm squeezing some glue out, and it's going to cover the entire piece of card.
Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together. You know it's all...
Removing it from here now and destroying this piece of gluey paper. Now we're going to take this piece here And you're going to place this on, making sure that the whole of your image is going to be seen on that paper as we go down. You will be able to lift it up slightly. So I tend to go side to side and make sure that we've got a little bit of a border. And then top to bottom, I'm going to start from the center, and then I'm going to just tap this away, coming outwards from the center. We don't want to smooth it, we are just tapping. So we're capturing all of those little ridges, coming out from the center again, and this way, out from the center, all the way around. Okay, the more you pat, you can now see it starting to take shape. I lift that up and bring it to the camera. You should now be able to see the texture on here, all those little wrinkles. Can you see those? That is our faux silk technique. Okay, so it's got all of those little ridges in there. Now the next stage is important to make sure that this glue is fully dry. And also I will say I would not use our standard paper trimmer. With this paper trimmer, we have a little tiny blade on here, and if we try and cut this tissue paper on the surface, it will pull and drag. So if you slide this up, it will pull and drag. So what I'm going to use is my little mini machine, a guillotine. You can also use a knife blade and a metal ruler to take those edges off. So my first mark on here, I always do, is take roughly just a tiny little smidgen off the top there. We're cutting all of these scruffy pieces away and pop them straight in the bin. Okay, so I'm now going to turn that again. I'm going to have to turn this 4 times around. So just pop this underneath. We've now got a bit of a plumb line at the top here, so that's nice straight edge. So we're going to just cut down this side and cut that piece away. Now we're going to turn it the last side. All we're doing, we're not taking any measurements, all we're doing is just taking off the scruffy bits. Okay. And then the last side. So it neatens up all those edges. And then we have a lovely piece of card. Now this is the point at which we're now going to trim down to the size we want to be able to place this onto our card here. So I can look at that and I do eyeball because of where your design is. If you want to take some off the edges, we need to take a little bit off each side, and then the top and bottom we want to kind of have fairly even. This is a bit closer, so I'm going to take some off the bottom to start with. Just eyeballing until I get it to the right depth. A little bit more, just taking note of the top and the bottom as to which side we want to take that off. And when we're happy with the top to bottom, then I will start on the sides. We don't need to take too much off there, but I'm going to take a little tiny piece off each side. Making sure to keep it straight at the top so that you can keep that shape. Okay. We still need a little bit more, so we want to take some off there. We just want to take a little bit off this side. Okay. And just line that up. We want to take a fraction more. The top and bottom is bigger, so I'm going to take a tiny little piece off here and another little piece off there. And then this should be fine. Still got a little bit more top and bottom, so I want to just take a little bit more off there. We've got tiny little borders on here, so we just a little fraction off there. Maybe. There we are. I think that would be good on there. There we go. So we can pop that away. Take those pieces. Okay, now we're just going to fix this down. So our Tombow is wonderful adhesive. It's really, really economical. Now this is the point when we've got this on our card as to deciding whether you want the image at the top or the bottom, how you've angled those on there, where you'd like to put them. I think I'd like the flowers at the top. So I'm just going to place that on there, making sure that the border is even. And press down the 4 corners first. And again, just press gently on there. We're not wiping those out to the side. Okay, so there we are. So that's my faux silk with its borders. So now we're going to pop back to our sentiment here. I stamped this onto the die cut label. And I'm going to just take a little tiny piece of sponge and my Petunia Pop ink pad. I've used a Petunia Pop layer, so I'm keeping the colours together. And I always say when I'm using a piece of sponge like this, I want it to be a gentle feathery effect. If I want it to be a heavier finish, I would use the sponge daubers that we have. So I'm just flicking this along the edges at right angles. So I'm coming down. You will see little bits of the sponge might fall off. So I do keep away from the project because we don't want inky pieces all over the nice white surface. There we go, we've got a nice little border there. So we're going to place a couple of dimensionals on here. I'll take my tweezers. Pop. And then we're going to place this in onto our card here. Now I'm placing this in the centre. And you can put this wherever you like on your card. I mean, depending on how you've laid this out, the stencil might be slightly more slanted than another card, depending on the angle you place them. So I quite like this in the centre. I've done one off to the side before, and I'm going to do this one in the centre again. These are the ink colour dots. Now what I did with my last one, I took, using the Petunia Pop in the middle here, I've just placed one little tiny one in the corner, so I'm nice and evenly spaced, then one big one in between, like so. Just press that down, get that in position, and then press it, and then another little one underneath. I do like to have my gems in 3s. Oh, come on, there we go. And I'm just going to place that one underneath there, keeping the colour theme coming through. So there's my finished card, and we've got the liner in here. We could colour that one in as well if you wanted to, or you can leave it as a standalone image. Okay, so there is our faux silk technique. Now before we go, I've got another couple of cards I'm going to show you, and I just want to explain to you how else you can do this technique. This is the first time that I have done this with the masks. I normally colour the tissue myself, so I'm going to show you a little extract of a piece and just finish that piece off. So if I pop that over to one side, I've partially done this one for you. So I've gone for an image from Country Flowers because it's a nice small piece. It would be nice to finish off later and put onto one of our basic white note cards and envelopes. So I'm just using these flowers for now, and I have I'm going to show you why we place this on a piece of card. When I was stamping, I stamped it onto a piece of scrap copy printer paper. Okay, so when I stamped it on there, the black ink from the memento bled through. Okay, so that's proving why we need to have something underneath. And then when I did my colouring in for the pink, you can see that this is the bubble bath. So you can see I've done bubble bath on here with a little tiny piece of Moody Mauve. Okay, Moody Mauve is one of our retiring colours this year, making way for 5 new ones coming in. So this shows you why the tissue paper will bleed through. Okay, I'm now going to turn this over because I want to do the next layer. We can move that out of the way. So this is the image I stamped earlier. Now we have a product that sadly is often forgotten. Now we have blending brushes. Let's take this off. So these are our blending brushes. These are brand new ones. I've got a class coming up, so I'm going to be taking those too. And they're double-ended tips. So here's my one. So they're double-ended, exactly the same. There isn't a wide and a narrow, they're just double-ended. Now these are filled with glycerin, a glycerin mixture. So how I colour these ones in, I take an ink pad. Which green would we like? We could do a little bit of each. I'm going to take the Old Olive first. And you can see in the lid here, I squeeze my ink pads. So I've given that a good squeeze. And then I've got ink in the palette. So we're going to use that colour there. When we want to clean this, we do not run it under the tap. We just wipe it on the back of our hand or a piece of kitchen roll. So I'm going to pick up some of this lovely colour here. Okay, this will not tear the paper. You just go gently and colour this in. You can see that colour hopefully on the screen. And just colour these leaves just to give it a little bit of colour there. Hopefully you can see me. I'm just going to zoom you in slightly. That's better. So I'm picking up the ink off here. If I bring that in slightly, that won't rock. So just picking up a little bit of that on the brush, just as it is, just as you purchase it. And I'm going to colour these gently. If you were to do this with a water brush, the water onto the tissue would make it soggy and it would make it tear. It just will not work with the water brush. These pens are perfect for the job. Okay, and there's no water involved, it's just the glycerin inside that pen. And like I say, they're double-ended. You might like to keep one end for lights and one end for darks. You have 3 in a packet, so if you've got some strong colours, you might want to keep some for certain colours. Okay, and just finish colouring these leaves in. If I want to, I could add the mossy meadow and just add some accents of that. If you want to variegate your leaves, you can change colours as well. Okay, what I also like to do is to take a little bit of that green ink and just accent those stems. There's nothing to colour in as such, but you're just giving it a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so just running down those stems. There's a little tiny stem up there. Just to give it a little bit, and there, and the one in there, look. Just to take that line down. So this is just using the green from the ink, just squeezed. I'm going to put the lid back on there. I'm going to wipe it just on the back of my hand. It's just to remove any excess ink, really. And that's ready to go again as soon as we want to. Now you can also do that technique with the pencils. If you were to colour your image in with watercolour pencils, you could then pick the blender pen up and that would blend all those pieces together. So I'm going to just bring my cards back for you. So I've got 3. I have the first image that we had. This was the one that I did straight onto the card. No texture on here whatsoever. And it's got the 5 masks, the 3 colours, and then this greeting was from another set. I think this was my small business, I think. And then I've done that exactly the same as you've seen me do today. So there are 2 different ones here. One I did before and one I've done live with you. So they're exactly the same, and I've gone with the Petunia Pop dots on here. The colours have varied slightly depending on how heavy you are with the colour, but you can see that these 2 have got texture with them, and this one is just plain. So if I bring one of each up to the camera, you can see they are slightly different colours because I've used Petunia Pop and I've used the Bubble Bath. But you can see that this one has got texture on it. When I held it up to the camera earlier, it's just got a little bit of texture, and that is the faux silk technique against the plain one. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed those, and I hope that you will do some of those yourselves. And don't forget that the replay of this video will be in the album saved separately, so that you with the link, so you can look at that another day and say, oh, I'm ready to make that now. I've got some time to play. Now don't forget that there will be a measurement sheet. It's just got the actual techniques on there and the measurements as to what we've done. It's not a full tutorial, but it gives you more detail when you're ready to make these up. I'm just going to bring you back onto camera actually. Thanks for joining me today. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you live. Jackie is coming up next with her presentation and her technique. So make sure to check in with your demonstrators. The timetable of the presentations and who is presenting when can be found at the top of this group. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend's presentations. Bye for now.
We've grown strong together, you know it's all because everybody plays a part in doing what we love.